Reverend Darlene started a series called Distilled Wisdom. And there is a book that I wanted to speak on today, and then I'll segue into a couple of other pieces as well. But this book is called The Eye of the Storm, and it's written by Gary Simmons. Some of you may be familiar with the book. It's helped me oftentimes. So what I wanted to tell you is that, I lived in Florida for a good while. Yes. So the storm, when a hurricane comes, there's all of this turbulence all around. But in the eye, it's peaceful and it's calm. It's peaceful and it's calm. Even though there is all of this wreckage all around, it's peaceful and it's calm. Now, in our lives, when sometimes there is a storm, when there are lots of disturbances all around us, swirling around us, then we know that we can call forth the ability to be in the eye, the capital I, not the I, of the storm, right? We can be in that calm, safe place. I don't always remember to do that. I may be the only one in the room. I don't always remember to do that. Having the information empowers me to know that I can. And so I pull forth all of those tools when I remember. And it is communities like this and the consciousness of communities like this that remind us. And so what happens from that is that our consciousness is raised. Our peace expands. Our calm is palpable. Our love is palpable, just like I experienced when I came here. It is vivid and it is clear that there is great spiritual power in peace. Great spiritual power in peace. I wanted to read to you briefly something that Gary wrote. We may have fears and insecurities, but they are not who we are. Let me read that one more time. We may have fears and insecurities, but they are not who we are. When we act out of those fears, the conflict we experience is from being who we are not, instead of who we have come here to be. In order to overcome this kind of behavior, we need to remember to keep in touch with spirit and to live on purpose. So how do we do that? We do that by being together. We do that by celebrating. We do that by recognizing the divinity. Oh, the divinity. The divinity. And we know that. And we have people around us that will remind us if we forget through their demonstration. And isn't that beautiful? No one has to come up to us and say, hey, what thought were you thinking that created that? No, we don't do that. Through demonstration and manifestation of the enormous clearness of spirit in community, we remind each other that this is our way. This is our way. This way of peace. The eye, the calm in the storm. Now, I want to share with you a personal experience with the author. I was going up to Unity Village for classes. I messed up and I booked my flight a day late. They don't usually let you make up time because it's intensives. You know, you're in intensives out at the village. So I called and I said, please, I've already scheduled to be off of work and everything. Could you please allow me to come? And they were very kind, and they called me back and said, yes, we'll allow you to come, but you have to come right in. Don't even check in, just go into class. And I said, okay. So my class was The Eye of the Storm. And I walked into the room, and Gary Simmons was standing there, and he said, hi, we have an even number of participants, so now that you're here, you're going to have to partner with me. Because everyone was coupled off doing work. And I was like, okay. And I sat down and you know, being in that state of flurry and of disorientation and of being a little awestruck because I'd read his book and really liked his work and all of those things, all that physical stuff that just goes all over us. And I sat down in a chair. We were sitting across from each other. And so we got quiet for a moment, and he said, so tell me, what is going on with you? And I spewed off all of this stuff, all of these, they could be perceived as victimizations, you know? And I just went and went and went and went for a little while. And he looked at me and he said, that's not what I asked you. That's not what we're doing here. I ask, how are you? What is going on with you? And then I told him that I felt very scattered and embarrassed that I made a mistake and a little intimidated that I was partnered with him and that I was longing for peace. And he said, yeah, okay, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And so what he went on to teach in that week, in that class, was so good for me, so very, very good for me. And I share this with you. I share these personal places with you so you can get an idea of my eye of the storm and my experiences, because I feel that we can relate in that way. If that's all right with you, I would like to continue in that vein. Good. So I started realizing how many teachers that I just loved and embraced, and that they were saying the same thing in a different language. And I believe that we need all those different languages so that we can hear through the filters we've developed in our lives. You know, it's like we have experiences, and one experience makes one thread, another experience makes another thread, another experience makes another thread. You know, there's like, you can see someone that looks like someone that you love very, very much, and you're automatically drawn to them. You know, you just see them and you go, oh, they remind me of so-and-so. Wayne Dyer says, turn around and run as fast as you can in the other direction. I thought that was funny because you don't know the truth of them yet, is his point. But, you know, there's things like I can smell the original scent of Jergens lotion, and it reminds me of my great-grandmother. She'd slathered herself with that stuff all the time, and I love it. And if you wear it, I'm going to love you. You understand what I'm saying, though. As experiences rub up against these threads in our filters, we have reactions, we have experiences, it works both ways. We have it working in both ways. We can see someone who reminds us of someone who we have not finished our work with, who we feel has not been someone who's been kind to us or to someone else we loved. And we have transference in that way. They bump up against that thread of our filter, right? So it's important to be mindful of that and go to our center, and say, what I really want in this life is to reduce suffering and increase love. Now, sometimes one is the path to the other, right? Sometimes we have to have these experiences so that we can experience more love for ourselves and others. Myrtle Fillmore, Mother Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity. She was known for writing letters and, responding more to letters more than anything else. It was amazing to me. There's a book called, Myrtle Fillmore's Letters. And if you read them, she teaches the same type of thing. She says, she often says, focus on what is working in your life. What is working in your life, and focus on that. Focus on that, because what you focus on expands, and you will awaken more to your wholeness. Focus on what is working. Focus on what is good. Focus on the tiniest of things. The tiniest of things, and you'll be amazed at how they grow. Bless you, how they grow. If you get a chance to look at that book, read some of the letters. It's really amazing how very heartfelt everything was and how responsible she calls everyone to be for their own well-being. Quite lovely. Now I'm going to shift just to another way here. I only have like 35 minutes, so I'm going to use all that I can. There is a woman by the name of Byron Katie, if any of you are familiar with Byron Katie. Well, her work, it's called Byron Katie, The Work, is one of her books. Her work is similar in that she had an experience. Everyone has these awakenings. Gary had an experience where he was hurt, and he had a spiritual awakening that allowed him to think of what was really important to him. Myrtle Fillmore experienced the healing from tuberculosis. And Byron Katie also experienced an awakening. She was not a happy camper. She was not a happy person. Her husband nor her children wanted to be around her. They just did not. She would yell at them, and she stayed in her room for the most part. And so they decided she needed to go somewhere. They didn't know where she needed to go, but she needed to go somewhere, right? And I mean that in the most loving of ways. So they said, her insurance wouldn't cover anything but a halfway house for eating disorders. And so they sent her there. She went there. And when she was there, they gave her a special room in the attic because she wasn't a lot of fun to be around. And the truth is, she was so filled with shame and hurt it wasn't that she was a mean person or bad in any way. She was hurt and didn't know a way to leave the hurt or to work through the hurt. So what happened was she fell asleep. She didn't feel worthy of sleeping on a bed. She fell asleep on the floor. You see, sometimes we see people, we believe that they're just hurtful, rigid, whatever word we want for them. Inside, that's not what's going on, I don't believe. I just don't believe that. You know, we're inherently good. We get to decide. I invite you if you're willing a lot, you know, and that's the truth of it. It's like it takes a lot of bravery to be willing to do the work that we need to do or that we want to do to have better lives. So she woke up from her sleep and a smile came on her face. And she just smiled, just something she had not experienced in quite some time. So she smiled and she realized that she felt good. She had not felt that. And she couldn't really remember who she was or who she was associated with or her past or anything like that. And so she felt good. There was nothing for her to be ashamed of or embarrassed about or angry about. And it felt so very good for her that when memory started coming back in, she would ask the question, is that true? And it usually was not. So she could leave it there. And she became more and more joyous. And she kept this practice going. Is that true? Is that true? As these thoughts came in, no, I can't completely know that's true. And when it was, maybe it's true, she'd say, can I absolutely know that that's true? No, she couldn't. And so she came to that experience in going home with her family and being a loving, kind mother and a good wife and a loving wife. I get, you know, it depends on what you call a good wife. I don't know, a loving wife. And people were drawn to her. They saw this change and she said, I'm not well enough grounded in this. I don't want to see people now. I'm working with this. And so there was a place in the kitchen where she and her husband were standing. And he said something that was really unkind. Why haven't you done this? Why couldn't you do this? Something like that. That's not so terribly unkind, but, you know, I wouldn't like it. And so he said, what's the matter? And she said, nothing's the matter. Nothing's the matter unless I perceive you as being unkind. And I know you're not unkind, so nothing's wrong. Everything's okay. What a beautiful way of being in the world. If you're familiar with Byron Katie now, she has schools and lots of facilitators and things like that that help people all over the world. And she was just this woman who had an experience and woke up. She was woke. She was woke. So we've got Gary Simmons, who's teaching us how to be calm, telling us how we should be calm, be the eye of the storm. We have Myrtle Fillmore, who we know a good bit about. But we can talk a long time about Myrtle, and Myrtle Fillmore is one of those people that said, you know, here you go. It's up to you. You have responsibility to focus on what is working so that you can experience it. And what we focus on expands. What we focus on expands, right? So if we're in traffic and there's someone who's driving really, really, really slow, and that might be me right now, and someone's driving really, really slow and you're in a hurry, just say, oh, isn't it nice that they're driving safe? They may not know their way around. That might be the issue. Instead of, I've got to hurry, because we have all the time we need. We truly have all the time we need. And now I wanted to talk about Jesus. So Jesus taught us a method of dismantling what looks and feels like it is against us. Okay, and this is from the eye of the storm as well. What looks and feels as though it's against us. It is not, but it looks and feels. So when it feels in our physicality, fully human, fully divine, when it feels in our physicality that we are experiencing someone against us, it does not feel loving. But we can shift that. We can shift that. And he said, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. And pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. And that's from Matthew 5:44. Wow. How about that? Dismantling what looks and feels against us. Love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use and persecute you. I can't teach any better than that. That's it. That is it. Life is good, isn't it? We have all of these tools. We have all of these ways that we can experience greater and greater love. I love the energy of the music. I love the palpable, vivid warmth of your hearts. I hope that you feel mine as well. And on a kind of a funny note, I realize that that clock is an hour behind. And I was really getting ready to rev up, you know. No, actually I would like to, I think it's probably time for our meditation. So if I could have some beautiful soft piano music behind me. Thank you so much. And Bobby, if I haven't said it enough, thank you for such a lovely introduction. So I invite you now, if you are willing, to close your eyes gently, to allow your body to be comfortable, to take in a deep cleansing breath, and to breathe out, and to allow your body to relax. And we open. We open our hearts and our minds to this now moment. We accept and embrace the experience of Selah. Selah, where we sit in the quiet and we receive. Oh, sweet peace. We own our divinity now, fully in this moment. If you're willing, you may want to put your hand over your heart space. And say softly to yourself, I am. I am. I am not only loving, I am the manifestation. I am love. As we go out into the world, we are secure in this knowing. And when distracted, we quickly find our way to peace. For we have a wondrous, wondrous work to do in this world. And that is to show up as the beautiful, beneficial presence that we are. As we walk into a room where there may be disturbance, we breathe, we smile, and in our language we say, tell me something good. It is good to see you and to be with you in our very own love language. And so now we take just a moment in the silence to give thanks. Give thanks in the silence now. And so be aware of where you're sitting, taking a deep breath, When you're ready, very gently open your eyes. It may seem brighter. Be gentle with your eyes. Thank you, living, loving God. So be it, and so it is. Amen. Amen.